Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, simply a masterpiece. Hi, my name's Stu and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. I did consider for a second there just, cutting the video at that because that's all you really need to say about this film. Would have been quite funny, but I guess maybe my audience would not appreciate that too much, and I'm not really into YouTube shorts, so I'd rather still want to do a full-length review video. Anyway, so yeah, as you can tell, recently I've been catching up on a lot of things that I really didn't find the time to see towards the end of last year, and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is one of those things. It's obviously been out for quite some time. There's a lot of buzz around this film because, well, it's not just winning awards, but many people have the hopes, and I am among them, that this film is going to win the Oscars, for Best Animated Feature. In my opinion, it could even just be Best Film overall because it really is that good, I feel. We've got so many elements here that just work so well. Try not to get ahead of myself, of course. I really need to look into the story of Pinocchio because I will admit I've never read it. The only version I know, which will be similar for many people, is the classical Disney one. I'm not talking about the new one, I haven't watched it yet. I don't really want to watch it after all the bad things I heard. So I just know the classical Disney animated version. That's the one I know. I don't know how much that strays from the original story. I don't know. Anyway, I'll have to look that up at some point, but I mean, obviously with a story like this, you can, go your own route, and this is what Guillermo del Toro and all the people involved have done. So yeah, it does sound a bit like, to me, that they did stray quite a bit from the story, but the heart is intact, as they would say. And before I forget, if you watch on Netflix, there is also a 30-minute sort of short documentary about how they made the film, which is absolutely fascinating. It not only gives you a lot of, insight and more knowledge about how the film was made, but you also understand a lot of the decisions they made, which is really fascinating. And the more I learn about this film, the more I do actually love it, and just astonishing what has been done here. So, to not get too far ahead of myself, let's go with the plot first. If you're not familiar with the overall story of Pinocchio, or obviously you're interested in why is this version different, which I can't tell you, but I can explain what the plot is about so you may realise what's different. We are focused on, this is set in Italy by the way, and we are focused on a man called Geppetto, who has a son called Carlo, and the start of the film shows you their really great father-son relationship. They've got a very tight bond there. His son, unfortunately, now this is a minor spoiler, but it is how the story basically kicks off. His son, unfortunately, is killed during an air raid. So this is set during, this part is set during the First World War, and the rest of the story actually takes place during the Second World War. And during an air raid, he is unfortunately killed. And Geppetto, as you can imagine, having such a strong bond, he really can't deal with that very well. Is obviously lost, etc. And he plants a pine tree. So Carlo had this pine cone that he found, and he put it in the ground. And we see this tree growing. It's showing you the passage of years, with him just not finding a way out of his grief. And eventually, in a drunken rage, I suppose you could even call it, he decides to carve a new son, a new boy for himself out of the pine tree. And this is obviously where Pinocchio comes from. And there's a wood sprite that comes along, takes pity on Geppetto, and instills or infuses this wooden boy with actual life. So he comes to life. So Pinocchio comes to life, and we see how their relationship develops. He is very different from what Geppetto knows from Carlo, and is used to from Carlo. And Pinocchio is just full of life, excited to discover new things, and is very chaotic, and he's running around. In the first sequence, he's just destroying half the household basically because he's just so much energy, he's buzzing with energy, and he just can't stop. And the film from that point on is all about how their relationship develops. So Geppetto, he's learning to accept that boys can be different as well. They're not all going to be the same. And he learns to live with this new Pinocchio. And Pinocchio himself, he is obviously trying to please his father, and he is, you know, doing the opposite. He's trying to fit in with that, but he also sees opportunities to do things in the world. Like he becomes basically an act in a sort of troupe, if you will, you know, performing for them. That's a whole thing that happens in this. Actually, I don't think I'll tell you much more about the plot because I don't want to spoil it, but we do have a lot of adventures, so it's not all just set in a house or something. We've got a lot of exploration going on as well, I will say that. And you've got a villain too. I won't spoil him because I think he is amazing. I might just talk about his design for a bit, but we'll get to that a bit later. Yes, so it is a father-son story, but it's many other things actually, but genuinely it's a father-son story, both learning to accept each other for what they are, you know, but also about, well, a boy exploring life, you know, and what it's all about. Going on adventures, fun adventures, and it's also a lot about death, as you can imagine, especially with At the Sun, Carlo dying, you know, and how grieving works and how people grieve, all these things. So if any of those themes sound interesting to you, then this will be a film for you. But we need to talk about how it was made. It's a stop motion film, and it's one of the best animated things I have ever seen in my life. Now, it took them over 1,000 days to film this, so like nearly 3 years just to film the whole thing. It is quite crazy. That is why I implore you to watch that additional documentary, because it shows how this was done, and it's absolutely fascinating. It's so fascinating to see them put together all these shots, etc. You hear Guillermo del Toro and all the people involved explaining what they did, and they just really put so much thought into this. It really enhances your experience of this film, and I'm sure if you watch it again, you know, you'll start noticing a lot of other things now, you know, after hearing that. You've got incredible actors involved, you know, all of them are really, really amazing. I don't even want to pick out a single one because they are all amazing. Probably one thing I'll just mention because it's just so absurd, and that is also explained in the documentary. You've got Cate Blanchett playing a monkey. I won't tell you why, you'll have to watch the documentary to find out. It's a hilarious reason, but it's wonderful to see her even putting a lot of energy into just playing a monkey, you know, that doesn't have many lines, etc. So that's quite good. Incredible actors all around. I like all of them for various reasons. It's just incredibly acted. So you've got the amazing stop motion. The whole film looks incredible. It really does. It's you get lost in this world. The lovely colours are very lush, you know, Italy of course on the seaside, so you have a lot of those colours coming in. It reminded me, at least in terms of colours, a lot about Luca, which is a film I talked about last year, I think. I'll leave a link to that at the end of this video, but it reminded me of that, you know, a seaside Italian harbour town, really beautiful. And I mentioned the villain. He's just got a really cool design. It's like he's got his hair. His name is Count Volpe, and you know, the hair goes up here at the side. Looks like devil's horns. And the design, the more I look at it and the more I think about it, but the same goes for every character. I just love it. I couldn't even tell you what my favourite design character is because that somehow keeps changing from one minute to the next. They're all done so lovingly. Yeah, it is. I don't actually have a negative thing to say about this film. I really don't. It is incredible. It simply is incredible. I am hoping that they win the Oscar. They've already won awards, but obviously that's a big one, because you will not find a film that flies the flag of animation more than this. And Guillermo del Toro, while receiving one of the awards, I think it was the Golden Globes, I'm not sure, said, you know, is trying to make people realise animation is not just for children. You know, it's a medium, it's not just a genre, you know, it's not just as animated, it's for kids. Now, while this film is, at least on Netflix, they say it's from ages 7 and above, I'm not too sure about that. I would recommend, you know, the children maybe to be like 10 or so before watching it, because the film does have quite some scenes that, you know, maybe, or I think quite likely will upset younger children. But like I say, it's really important to have a film like this that shows you what's possible, you know, and just the dedication that people have for making it for such a long time. Must have been incredible, you know, being one of the people involved and actually seeing the finished product for the first time. That must have been really emotional, that showing, you know. So if you have Netflix and you haven't watched this yet, please do, please do. We need to support films like this. People, you know, criticise Netflix for many things, quite justified in many situations as well. I'm not happy about some of the shows they cancel, but as long as they keep doing things like this, I feel that, you know, we should continue supporting them, because I'm not sure many studios would have supported a project like this. You know, over years it probably cost quite a lot of money because of that alone, and it's, you know, it's definitely a risk that I don't think many studios would take. So whenever, you know, once in a while Netflix comes along with something like this, I'm like, yeah, this is why I love Netflix in particular, because they just support some really genuinely great projects as well. That will be all from me today. Like I say, probably one of the highest recommendations I have ever given on the channel. Watch this. You really owe it to yourself. If you've got a family, watch it together with them. You know, but judge yourself whether it's appropriate or not for children. Anyway, that'll be all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. Leave a comment down below about this film, about how it compares to the original Pinocchio story. Have you seen the recent Disney one? Which, you know, funny that it came out in the same year, as probably couldn't be more polar opposite. But any of that you want to say down in the comments below. I'll thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video on the Flying Wiener. Take care. Bye.